Hey, good morning. I'm out on a run, and as a lot of you guys know, I run through this graveyard sometimes, and I like the silence and the peace, and just, I don't know, there's something about it that just kind of calms my spirit, soothes my soul. And I was running on that road there, you can see it, and I stopped because there's this little grove of these trees, and I don't know if you can see these, but this bark, it's kind of like, I don't know what kind of trees these are, but maybe it's like a softer bark than usual, and it breaks off these little pieces like this that kind of break off of these trees. And I remember when I was a kid, in the backyard of my grandparents' house, they had a little grove of trees like this. Here's a better example, right? You can see how this one just, right? You can take off pieces of it, and those pieces, you can see them on the ground. They just kind of gently fall to the ground. And I remember when I was a kid, my grandparents, they had this little grove of these trees, and I think, if I remember correctly, there was a couple of chairs in between. And I remember sitting in those chairs with my grandfather, and I'm not sure this has anything to do with the trees. I think it's just a matter of how they brought up this memory in me. But I remember sitting in those chairs with my grandfather, and I might have talked about him before, but he was a guy who, he used to just take walks, and I would walk beside him holding his hand when I was 5 or 6 years old. And he would stop, and I would look up, and I would see him with his eyes closed, and he would just be whispering gently and praying. And these trees today, and the way that the softness of their bark, you know, just reminded me of those moments where my grandfather would just stop and gently whisper to his heavenly Father. And I don't know what he was saying. You know, he was probably just thanking God for the day. Or he might have been just walking around these trees. He owned a nursery. So he used to just love having his hands in the dirt and digging holes and planting and seeing the life that would come forth from planting and seeing stuff. And so this morning I'm here and I'm looking at these trees, and I'm feeling the tenderness of the bark. And it first made me think of that, and then second, it made me question, like, hey, why did God make trees that have kind of a softer touch than, you know, say an oak or a maple tree? I don't know. But it just brought me to this place of, oh yeah, I remember my grandfather, and we used to sit kind of right here with a couple of chairs, and we used to talk, and I don't remember the conversations, but the one thing I remember about him is that he was a kind and gentle guy in his older age, and he would stop and he would just talk to God whenever he felt led to talk to God. And I don't know if I do it quite that same way, but I certainly have conversations with God as much as I can. But I don't think I've gotten to the place where I stop and just talk to God for a minute. So maybe that's kind of the point of a day like today is maybe, I don't know if there are trees like this in and around your house, your home, wherever you live, but maybe take a minute as you're walking today and just stop and whisper to God. It reminds me of a song that I wrote called Proof of You, where the second verse is all about, you know, is your voice the thunder? You know, are you whispering to us as we roll through our days. And I think he is. I think God this morning was whispering to me saying, hey, hang out by these trees for a minute and just take rest in the memories of a man who actually set an example to me of what a walk of faith looks like. And boy, I just have so many great memories of just walking with him through the woods. So today, be still. Know that I am God. God is all around us, as evidenced by this morning, by this beautiful grove of trees and the memories that it brought up. And this is sometimes how God speaks to us. And he can't speak to us unless we take time and just stop and just take a breath and just breathe in the air and breathe in the hope, breathe in the strength, breathe in the love, breathe in the mercy, breathe in the grace, and breathe in the memories of those who taught us what it's like to have a relationship with God, have a walk with God, a daily walk with God, an hourly walk with God. So maybe that's what today was about. Yeah, the run is good. I mean, it's certainly healthy. Got my heart kicking a little bit, which was nice. But maybe today was more about just, and believe me, I've run through this graveyard, I don't know, 100 times maybe. And I never stopped here, ever. And now today, I stop here. God's funny that way, isn't he? He just gives us just a minute to just say. So today, maybe we'll title this, Take a Breath. Take a breath, be still, and know that he is God. Be still and know that he loves you, and be still and know that when we breathe in and breathe out, we're breathing in the ruach of God. We're breathing out the breath of God to those around us, setting an example to those around us. This is my grandfather. He died, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago maybe. And yet his memory is still rolling through my head. And I'm still stopping by trees and talking to God. It's amazing. It's amazing. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in and hearing me ramble a little bit about trees and how beautiful they are and how much they mean to me. But God puts these things in our paths so that we can be reminded of him and be reminded of who he is and how much he loves us. All right, we'll see you on the next one.